Hello and welcome to a quick run-through of all of the features and functions of this instrument. The interface is divided into 6 pages. The mixer page provides a general overview with a big picture of the sound sources loaded. The main page lets you adjust several global parameters and a lot of settings for each of the 8 channels. The effects page holds up to 20 different effects simultaneously. The preset page offers the menu of instrument presets. The sequencer page lets you design the sequencer presets. And finally, the settings page holds several global settings and the MIDI controller assignment. We'll go through all of the functions on these pages in detail. Everything is based on the 8-channel mixer, which can hold up to 8 sound sources, each with its individual settings. It's like having 8 completely independent instruments in one. In each channel strip we have volume, panorama and solo. Mute a channel by simply unloading it, which also can save a lot of memory. There are different kinds of presets. The instrument presets contain the whole combination of channels with all its effects, sequencer and all other settings. The channel presets let you load an individual sound source for each channel separately. Let's load the Clean Start preset, which is perfect to explore the massive amount of sound sources. Click on a channel's name to open the preset channel browser. To load a clean version of the sound source, load the default setting. There are several presets for each sound source available, with pre-programmed effects, envelope, filter and other settings. If you want to keep these settings of a channel, load Source Only to change only the sound source, but keep all channel settings. The sound sources are tagged and organized in various categories. To save a channel preset, select an empty preset slot, click Save, enter a name and description, and click Apply. Next is the main page. Here you can adjust some global parameters and a lot of individual settings for all channels. Scale is a global parameter for all channels and lets you limit the notes to a specific major or minor scale. Key sets the root key for this scale. The following controls are available per channel. Chords adds an interval or a chord based on the notes you play. Transpose any channel instrument up to 36 semitones up or down. Tune lets you fine-tune the sound. A general hint here. Hold down the Shift key while dragging the fader. This enables for a slower movement and more accurate adjusting. Command-click resets each function to 0. Type lets you design the way a channel should be audible. Layer just plays the channel at all times. Blend In blends in the sound by using CC11. Blend Out reduces the volume when increasing CC11. The CC number for the blending control can be changed in the settings page. With the combination of Blend In and Blend Out, you can morph between the sounds of 2 or more channels. Pad Center and Pad A to H route the channel to the XY pad. The XY pad lets you morph between all channels by moving the mouse on the XY axis or with 2 MIDI controllers. By default, that's CC2 and CC3, but you can change that in the settings page. The movement of the XY pad can be animated, but more on this later. Release triggers the sound when releasing a key. Output assigns the channel to a specific audio output, depending on your audio interface. Key range defines the playable range of the keyboard of each channel individually. You can select the upper and lower limits of the keys by dragging the black line, and assign a fade-in and fade-out of the keyboard range with the orange line. This way, you can create an interesting mix of instruments, changing across the keyboard with a smooth blending between them. Envelope provides a classic envelope for each channel. Adjust attack with a fade-in curve, hold, decay, sustain, and release. Velocity determines the dynamic behavior of each channel. Adjust the velocity curve with various options the way you want. Setting different velocity curves to different channels can produce interesting sound changes, depending on the keyboard velocity you play. You can even switch between channels by assigning a specific velocity range to each of them. Finally, the key switches are a cool feature on the main page to activate specific channels on the fly. Activate key switches and assign any key switch to any channel. Key switches are displayed in red on the Kontakt keyboard. Up to 8 key switches can be programmed, and the position of the key switches is adjustable. By the way, the orange key is the repetition key, which triggers the last note or chord you have played. Great for fast repetitions or percussive instruments. Assign the position of the repetition key in the settings page. Beside the tonal sound sources, there are also drum sources. With a drum group selected, go to the mixer page and click Show Names to see the drum samples mapped across the keyboard. The Effects page. This page is pretty much self-explanatory. You have 6 slots for individual channel effects, plus an individual filter for each channel, 6 send effects with an intensity fader for each channel, and 6 insert effects, which work for the whole instrument. You can choose from 3 different views if you prefer to see the mixer channels on the Effects page. Choose from a large variety of high-quality built-in effects and assign up to 6 completely independent effects for each channel. The filter has its own dedicated page. Each channel can have its own filter settings. Cutoff and resonance can be animated with the sequencer. The send effects present the most common effects. The send levels can also be animated on the sequencer page. The convolution reverb provides 112 especially designed impulse responses, ranging from an ultra-short, tight booth to a 16 seconds endless space. The vibrato controls are also on the effects page. Intensity and speed are controllable via MIDI-CC. The intensity can control volume, pitch, and an equalizer. Vibrato can be turned on or off for each channel separately. The preset page. Beside the channel presets for each individual channel, the instrument presets contain all sound sources for all channels, including all settings on the main page, the effects, and the sequencer. The presets are tagged in various categories. The description often contains useful information about how to use the preset. Simply double-click an instrument preset to load it. To save an instrument preset, click Save. Select an empty preset slot, enter a name and description, and click Apply. You can also import instrument presets from future updates or from shared preset libraries. The Settings page holds various global parameters, the MIDI-CC assignments, and the XY pad automation. Each channel can have its individual MIDI-CC for volume, pan, filter cutoff, and resonance. The MIDI-CCs let you automate all these functions in your DAW. If you have a hardware MIDI controller with 8 faders, you can handle these functions like on a hardware mixer. The MIDI mode changes the general behavior of the instrument. When set to instrument, all channels respond to the same MIDI channel assigned to the instrument. When set to channel, channels 1 to 8 respond to MIDI channels 1 to 8, and MIDI channels 9 to 16 affects all channels. This way you can play each instrument channel on its own MIDI channel. When channel is activated, the instrument must be set to Omni to receive all incoming MIDI channels. In the miscellaneous option, you can activate Round Robin and assign the note for the repetition key. Blend mode sets the MIDI CC for blending channels in or out, depending on the settings in the main page. The MIDI CCs for vibrato and the sequencer velocity can also be assigned here. The pad automation is a cool feature. First, make sure on the main page all or at least a few channels are assigned to the XY pad. Now you can automate the pad movement with 2 MIDI CCs from an external hardware controller or by drawing the CCs in the editor in your DAW. But you can also record the pad movement within the instrument. Activate Pad Automation, click Record. Press a note and move the cursor in the XY pad. The recording stops when the selected length of the sequence is over. Of course, you can edit and fine-tune the XY pad movement later.